talk about the differences between men and women. God made us different on purpose for his purpose. I want you to look at this. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. They will rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, the whole earth, and the creatures that crawl on the earth. So God created man in his own image. He created him, the image of God. He created them male and female. Genesis 1:26 and 27. Now, at the beginning of this Jesus on relationship, Jesus on marriage, we talked a little bit about Ish and Isha and the difference between men and women. So I want to go a little deeper with this in the last small group session in this series. God is always intentional. He created genders intentionally, and he did so in his image. That doesn't mean God is a gender. He's the creator of genders. He fully encompasses the fullness of his image. Now, don't lose your mind here. I'm not saying God's a girl or God's a guy or God's neither. God is God, and there's none like him. Okay? So, deep breath. But he created us male and female. God is far more complex and wonderful for us to understand. So he created us to love us and for us to love him. And he created men and women to complement one another, not compete with one another. Look at this. Then the Lord God said, it's not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper corresponding to him. Genesis 2:18. This is a great translation. This is a great translation of that verse. God had community in mind when he created genders. He also had reproducing in mind when he created genders. God could have had us created to be self-reproducing, but he didn't. There's some organisms in nature that self-reproduce. He chose us to be different, but the same on purpose. Adam called the woman one like me. He didn't call her a clone. He said like me. She was like him, but very different in the best way. Now, the ancient people understood this. And we talked about the Hebrew name for man is Ish, and the one who pierces, and it's evident the man is the piercer, and the woman is the one who's pierced. And you see the man is the provider and the pursuer, and the woman's the receiver. And we talked about those things. So genders really then complement each other. We're equal in our relationship with God, but we complement one another in living out God's plan for life. Now, how are we different? Before we get to the list, talk about God's plan of making us different, we have to remember there's an 80-20 rule when it comes to people. 80% of the men will behave this way, and 80% of the women will behave this way. Then you have 20% who will not behave in one way or the other. Now, that doesn't mean there's gender confusion. That just means there's differences in the way people are shaped and wired. That means we have to pay attention to that. Now, here's some things. Let's talk about men. Men are typically, now I say typically, remember 80-20 rule, typically fact-oriented. They're fact-oriented. They want the facts. When you start telling them about stuff, they want to hear the facts. They're solution-minded. They want to fix things. They're objective in their thinking, and they're more distant and less open with their feelings. Why? Because men have trouble accessing their feelings. When a little boy becomes a little boy in the mother's womb, testosterone washes across their brains and kills connectors between our brains. We don't have the ability like a woman does to be global in our thinking. We're more linear and factual because that's the way God made us as the Ish, as the initiator, as the pursuer. Now, women are typically have far greater feelings and emotions. Why? Because they have more brain connectors. They can think double things. Women can multitask. I can't. Tara and I'll be watching a TV show, and she'll be playing her silly game over here and know everything that's going on TV and knowing everything that's going on in her game on her phone, and I'm barely keeping up with what's going on TV because our brains are different. Women are more sympathetic and relational. They're more intuitive. You'll never hear a guy say to another guy, did you see the way he was looking at me? Guys don't do that. Girls do that all the time. Well, I can't believe the way she was looking at me. Guys don't do that. Because we're not as aware. Women are sympathetic and relational. There's a higher level of personal involvement with women because they're receivers. They pay attention. You watch two women talk and they'll look in each other's eyes. They might touch and hold each other's hand or reach out and touch. Men don't do that. Men don't look in each other's eyes when they talk. They stand side by side and kick imaginary dirt clods. We just don't do it. Women relate around their kids and around relational things. Men relate around activities. We relate around catch it, kill it, or hit it. That's kind of all we do. And so we're so different, yet we're complementary. Now, let's think about this. What are the needs, the top 5 needs of most men and most women? What are their top 5 needs? I'll give you a quick list. Top 5 needs of most men are, number 1, sexual intimacy. Okay, we'll go by that pretty quick. Respect, number 2. Recreational companionship, number 3. Reminds me, a guy wanted his wife to start hunting with her, and so she finally said, okay, you need recreational companionship, so they started hunting together. And he said, now, baby, go down this trail and get up in this deer stand, and if I hear a gunshot, I'll come take care of you. So she went down the trail, and he went down this other trail, and it was like 5 minutes, a gunshot went off, and he came down, I was standing, went down, and saw his wife standing in the middle of the trail, and another guy standing there saying, okay, lady, you can have your deer. Let me get my saddle off of him first. Recreational companionship. Attractive spouse, that's a terrible joke, sorry. Attractive spouse. Look good for daddy, that's what he wants. Domestic support. That's the top 5 needs of men and women. Well, women, you look at that, you said, dadgum, men are pretty shallow. Yeah, we are. Not very complicated. But here's the top 5 needs of most women, Now, listen, guys, you're supposed to meet her needs. So pay attention. It's not about getting all your needs met, it's about meeting her needs. Affection, number 1, it's not sexual. Well, really? Yeah. Security, number 2. Open and honest communication, number 3. Number 4, tenderness. Number 5, financial support. Okay, if that's the need of my wife, and that's the need of my husband, nobody should meet the needs of my wife other than me, and nobody should meet the needs of my husband other than his wife. So, now, we're different, and this kind of is a short life group topic, and it will not cover all the differences. However, we begin a conversation about how in our differences we can complement one another and not compete. Now, Jesus made us the same and different. We both need him. We both need his salvation, and we both need to become like him. Now, part of this is understanding the difference. Being misogynistic, putting down women is not of God. Putting down men is not of God. Complementing and working together is of God. So y'all have a discussion, and I can't wait to see how this goes. And I know this is going to be helpful because God did this intentionally. So enjoy your chat.